Good morning, welcome back to another Bike Ventures video. I'm Rob, for those that haven't watched the channel before, and today we're in the beautiful Derbyshire Dales. I'm going to go out into the Peak District shortly. Today I'm doing the White Peak Loop, 42.2 miles. It's a loop that's existed for a long time. A lot of locals have done it, including myself. Derbyshire County Council have recently done quite a bit of work on it to improve it and make it a bit more accessible. Signposted it up, published the route. So I thought today I'll show you that. I'll show you some of the interesting things where you can grab a coffee, where you can perhaps camp if you're going to do it in more than a couple of days or more than a day. It is very easily doable in one day, 42 miles with 2,000 feet of climbing, but if you wanted to make a trip of it, there's offshoots, or you could just do 20 odd miles a day if that's your thing. Yeah, so today we're going to take in the Monsal Trail, which we'll be joining shortly, just down here. We're just over Haddon Hall and the old tunnel, which was the railway lines, just over the back of those trees. So we're going to drop onto the Monsal Trail, to the end of the Monsal Trail today. We're going to hike a bike up Chee, and I'll discuss that when we get there. And then we're going to cross the Pennine Bridleway over onto the High Peak Trail, down the High Peak Trail to the Cromford Canal, along the canal, through Matlock Bath and Matlock, and then back up through Darley-Dale to Rowsley, where I've parked at the old station site today. So I hope you enjoy, and I'll see you on the trails. Yeah, this used to be an absolute bone shaker, this section. So yeah, fair play to the council. I know some people would say that they've possibly sanitised it a bit too much, but if they're trying to make it accessible to get tourism in, I really do get it. And why not, you know? Before this was, whilst I've ridden it on a gravel bike, you could argue that some of it was a bit techy and more suited to a mountain bike, so fair play to them. They've not done this section yet, so this is still a little bit bumpy in places. Better than it was, but still a little bit rough. So if you have got young ones with you who don't like descending on bumpy descents, then just bear that in mind. And the council have advertised it as a family friendly route, and in places it is. In other places it definitely isn't. Say at the minute probably 75% is family friendly. Well, we'll see all the lambs out. Lambing time, it's early May at the minute. Yeah, good morning. Hello. Hello. Yeah. I'm looking to make sure that lamb, I'm going to try and get through this gate. We don't want that, do we? He was curious, little fella, he's just behind me there. Right, so I've just joined the Monsal Trail, look. There we go. Right at the end, so I just passed Haddon Hall. Bakewell's just over my left shoulder there. So as we get a bit closer, you come through the old Bakewell station, and you can nip off into the town if you want, grab a breakfast or coffee, fish and chips, depending on what time of day it is. Yeah, cool. So you're on the trail. So the Monsal Trail we're currently riding on was the line and through to Buxton and then on to Manchester from Derby, and it's a stunning line. A lot of old architecture left, bridges, platforms, station buildings. Point those out as we go along, but it really is fantastic. One of my favourites, as busy as it can be in summer. It's an absolute stunner. So we're just coming into Bakewell station here. So you just see the platform on the left there, look. Obviously the track bed's now raised, it used to be a lot lower than this. The trains used to come thundering in. So there's a platform edge, look. And on the left was the station building. On the right, that's actually just the facade. There's nothing there. Just coming up on Asset Station now. You can see how wide it is here, because this was sidings as well. This was a very, very busy line. So just behind that big tree, behind that bench there, and the hedge, is the station car park. And then you just see the buildings, the station coming into view. Platforms are no longer there, but the building is beautifully preserved. And like I said, very, very popular. Yeah, there's the station building on the right, look. Beautiful. Look at these bridges though. A lot of bridges on this line. Awesome. We're just coming up on Longston Station here. We've still got both platforms, and the station building is now a private residence. And there's a little footpath. Come on, Em. There's a little footpath just near the bridge, so you can get up into Longston Village. Okay, so just at Longston, or what was Longston train station now, you see the platforms behind me. There's the old station building. The reason this platform's so long, here's a little nugget for you. It's just up there, look, is the hall. And the owner of the hall and this plot of land said that if the railway was going to come through here and a station was going to be built here, that he had his own private access, wasn't accessible to the public, so he could get on the train if he so chose. So what the trains used to do is pull in, let passengers on, and then it'd creep forward so that he could get on to his own private carriage that was further down the train. But yeah, this is a stunner. This is another cracking example of what was once here. So anyway, we're going that way. So one thing I didn't mention about this trail is from Bakewell, it's predominantly uphill. It's only slight, but you do kind of feel it in your legs all the way up there. 6 or 7 miles to Millersdale Station. So yeah, let's put you back on the bike and we'll get going. So we're just coming up to the first tunnel shortly. So I'll leave the camera on, but I'm not sure how good it'll be in low light, this new camera. I can tell you one thing though, it's going to be cold in them. Even on a hot day you go into them and it's like going into a fridge. You come back out into the heat, but today I'm going to go from cold to colder. So hopefully I'll feel warmer when I come out. You never know. So the tunnels are lit. Bizarrely only till dusk. So if you come down here at night, they're not. So they're not the shortest things either, so got to keep your wits about you. If you're wearing sunglasses, just drop them down onto the bridge of your nose so you've got a bit more visibility. But I can see there's no one in it today. Just me. Which is nice. You do get the odd drip of rain on here as well. Yeah, they really are stunning. I'll pop a couple of pictures up that I've took while I'm in here because the camera does let a lot of light in and they're amazing, they really are. So we're going to come out onto the absolutely stunning Monsal viaduct. It's one of the most famous. You know, I think everyone's probably seen a picture of this. It is an absolute beauty. Come on, Em. And there she is. I'll put a picture up for you of what it looks like from above or the side. It's an absolute beauty. I've seen some cracking pictures of trains exiting the tunnel coming over there as well. And then just ahead you can see one platform on the left. Now the reason there's only one platform left, and that one is stone, is because the one that was on the right was wooden and hung over the hillside. So yeah, just on the right there, and again, see if I can find a picture. I have seen some, but yeah, it must have been a precarious platform edge, that. So there we go, look at that valley. River's just there, look, in the bottom, meanders round, you just see it over there, meandering round, goes all the way around to Crestbrook. But yeah, absolutely stonking. I mean, if the camera will show you, look how high up that hillside is there. And then there's the tunnel we're going into, which is Lytton Tunnel. And that's the one we've just come out of, which is Crestbrook Tunnel. Okay, so we're just coming into Millersdale now. Two lovely viaducts here. One we're riding along, and then the one on the right, which as you can see, currently undergoing some renovation. It was in a sorry state. This was such a busy line, they had to build an additional viaduct. So it's great to see that they're doing work. So this is Millersdale. The platforms on this line here are now gone. I'll take you in and show you. So you've got cafe and toilets. And there's a little info board there if you fancy having a read. So there's the two viaducts. Look, we've just come in on this one here, and that's the one that's being worked on currently. Station buildings, look, you can see all the extra platforms just over here that's not there. This one's here, and this one's here, and there were sidings over in what's now the car park. So yeah, this was a very, very busy station. Yeah, so that's it now. Look, we can't actually go down there. The engine shed has been refurbished in the past few years, and there's lots of pictures and info boards up in there, but it doesn't look like we can go in there today. They're doing some maintenance, so we're just going to roll on past. But there is a cafe, and there is public toilets as well, and you can also park here. So you could park here and go down into Bakewell and back, or you could park here and start the full loop. Just coming up to the lime kilns at the moment, so you can see where these fences are. These are the kilns, and there's a footpath up to the top, up there. So yeah, you can walk in there and you can have a look. And that's the only one. It's the only one that's still standing on this line, but I do recommend you stop and have a look. So we are actually going up over that bridge, and that's the start of Chee. So you've got the bike hire place just down to the right here, just down a little slope, and a car park. So if you want to start at this end, you could. Wydale car park. We're going to go up Chee. I'm going to leave my camera on so I can show you that. As you can hear, I'm walking, not because this section is particularly steep. It is uphill, but it's quite rocky and quite difficult to ride on. Now this is that bridge we've literally just ridden under. So this is the hiker bike section at Chee. So this is what I would call the section that's not really, well, it's definitely not accessible, and I'd say it's not very family friendly. Now the reason I say that is, if you've got young kids with you, I can guarantee you'll be pushing the bikes up and the kids will be moaning, because it's quite long. You can see it's very rocky underfoot, it's not the easiest to walk on, and it's steep. So we're just at the top of Chee. So I did do a bit of filming coming up in a little explaining why I don't think that part's suitable if you've got really young kids. But that's not to say it's not doable. We brought some kids up last year, me and some other adults, on a bike packing trip. And these competent riders who we ended up doing 72 mile in 2 days, but they found that tough, and it was adults carrying 2 bikes up. So just bear that in mind if you're with young kids, that's probably not the best place. Once you're up here, it's pretty good going over onto the High Peak Trail, which is where we're going to go now. One thing I haven't shown you yet, these are the signs you need to be following for the White Peak Loop. So follow those, you can't go wrong, but there is a good GPX file. I'll pop mine in the video, which is theirs as well, but there is one on the Derbyshire Council site on the White Peak site, but we're now on the Pennine Bridleway, so let's crack on. So we're 3¼ miles from the High Peak Trail now. Just there is a lovely little coffee shop, cafe, and a cracking campsite. So if you want to come for the weekend, 2 or 3 days, and camp, do the loop, it's another perfect place where you can get on it. The A6 is just over there, so you're right close to the main road. The A6 is where we started basically this morning at Rowsley, so we're going to cross that shortly. But yeah, this will be a good base if you needed to, and you've still got an old-fashioned red telephone box in the village just down there. So that there is what's left of the old railway line. There is what now still exists of the railway line, and that's where we're going to go. So Parsley Hay, 3½ miles from here, and there's a cafe, public toilets, and that's where the Chesington Trail and the High Peak Trail split off. So we'll talk about that more when we get there. So this is the Royal Oak at Herdlow campsite. Fantastic pub, food, lovely selection of ales, and the site of the old station. As you can see, nothing left. So yeah, highly recommend Royal Oak, camping, food, cracking beers. Okay, so we've just left Parsley Hay now. We're at about 19 miles, so we're just shy of halfway for the full route. And then just ahead here is where the High Peak Trail and the Chesington Trail converge. So if you wanted to add extra on, you can do the line Chesington Trail down to Ashbourne. There's a couple of campsites just off the trail, so if you wanted to extend it, you go down there, camp, and then come back up the Chesington Trail next day to the junction here. So the Tiddington Trail's the one on the right, and we're going to take the one on the left. Also, you can see just down to the right there, there's some glamping pods. So you could always use this because it's nearly halfway. If you wanted to do 20 mile each day or thereabouts, you could stay in those pods. But look at that fantastic cutting there on the Tiddington Trail. Absolute beauty. But we're staying on the high peak, and we're going to head down towards Wirksworth, down the 3 inclines, Hopton, Middleton and Sheep Pastures incline, down to the Cromford Canal, and then we'll go back through Matlock Bath, Matlock, pick up the White Peak Trail, back into Rowsley. So yeah, so here we go, High Peak Trail. Point to note, this ahead that looks like a bridge is actually a tunnel. Short, but it is long enough to be classed as a tunnel. And just above, on both sides of the bridge, is a date plate, very ornate. Whoever made them, one of them's got his name on, I forget the name now actually, and the other's got Cromford and High Peak Railway on. 1825, so this year, 2025, is the 200-year anniversary of when this railway line was open, which is, I don't know, beggars belief, doesn't it? 200 years, fantastic. But yeah, so there's the tunnel. You can just see the stone there, look. Fantastic. So, I'll put you back on the bike in a second. If you look, as we come out of this tunnel, there's another stone there with 1825 on it. So yeah, well worth stopping and just having a quick look. I'm going to put you back on the bike now, and we're going to head down the High Peak Trail. So we're just coming up on the A515 again, so second time we're crossing this. I just thought I'd show you this pile of bricks just there. This was the site of the crossing keeper's cottage, so you can see the line goes straight ahead. There used to be a set of crossing gates here, and he'd go out and stop traffic when the trains came across. So that's the remnants of it there, nothing left apart from a pile of rubble. So we're just coming up on an old quarry here. So I'm going to show you this because it's cool. So this bit's fenced off. This is the old crane. There, look. Just take my camera off there. So there's the old crane, look. Hand cranked, possibly. There's still even a set of rails in there, look. Some sleepers and the tracks. This crane used to be able to move up and down here to load into the wagons. There's a set of rails just through them trees there, where I'm assuming it used to tip into something. But yeah, fantastic little place, and there's a couple of benches there where you can stop and have a quick bite to eat or a drink, and you know, it's fairly safe up there. You can let the kids have a wander around and have a look. Yeah, cool. I just thought I'd show you that kiln there. Only rebuilt last year, that. It was a pile of rubble for years, and they've rebuilt it. So yeah, it's fantastic, really cool to see. Awesome things like that. And then, I don't know if you can see, just there, that line of bricks just the other side that goes all the way down there, that was an incline as well for a railway that went off. Just thought I'd show you this view. So we've got Staffordshire right over there, and then just over there is the Tiddington Trail. So what we were on, or what we saw and we came left and the Tiddington went right, is just over there. So when you're over there on the Tiddington Trail, which you can't really see from here, but areas over there, you've got that view over towards Minninglow. So yeah, it's nice to see this stuff. I mean, would have been amazing seeing the plumes of smoke from both sets of trains coming up on these railways. And yeah, look at that, it's a beautiful surface with amazing views. Yeah, highly recommend. And the good thing about the High Peak Trail compared to some of the others is that even in the height of summer it's not as busy. So yeah, if you fancy coming out and just doing a trail, I highly recommend the High Peak. Whether you park at Parsley Hay and then come and hire a bike, you can get, the High Peak's pretty flat, so you can get from Parsley Hay to Middleton top and back, avoiding the inclines, which means you don't have to do them 3 big hills. So, well, actually you have to do one of them, I do apologise, but it's the easiest of the 3. But yeah, look at these views. Look at that huge quarry there, and views right over into Staffordshire. Even today on a fairly cloudy day, you've still got stunning views. So this just behind me here, this is Harbour Rocks. There's a building there, is an old, I think an engine house, but not for pumping. I think it housed some sort of electrical motor powering the mine. This was an old lead mine, so these concrete platforms that are left, these platforms that are left are the only thing left of it. I've never been able to find any pictures of it as an active mine, and I believe it closed 1920s, 1930s. So there's very little out there, but you can explore it and walk around the steps, and it's interesting to see. There's a couple of little caves higher up on the hillside. You can get in so far. There's a trig point on top, and there's a big stone chair up there that you can sit in as well. I think it's called Lord's Seat, but I could be wrong. But yes, it's nice to see. There's a little access just off the trail further down here. So yeah, another little point of interest for you. Okay, so I'm at Middleton top now. There's some trains, wagons going up and down the incline. That's in its heyday. 1960s, it did close in 67. There's the winding house itself, what a fantastic chimney. There's a wagon just to the left, look, just waiting to go down the incline, which is where we're going. Obviously the wagon isn't. But yeah, you've got a cafe, that building there, toilets, bike hire. So you could park here and cycle up to Parsley Hay and back, or you can park at Parsley Hay down to here and back. If you want to go down the inclines, they're that way, but bear in mind you've got some climbing to do coming back. So we've got Wirksworth just down the bottom here. So that's where we're going to go down the inclines now. You do have to be careful. So this is one of the other sections that if you're with young kids, these inclines are steep. This one in particular is not as steep as the other one, but you've kind of got to pick your line quite well. There's a lot of like channels across to stop it getting washed out, to allow water to run away. So you just got to be careful, because you hit them some of the lips quite big on them. So yeah, this is one of the sections that I don't think is ideal for kids, but if kids are fairly competent, it's more than doable. So this is a 1 in 8 gradient, but that's still fairly steep. Oh, they resurfaced it. So what I've just said might not actually be true. You can just see on the left there, look, the stones, but actually they were more pronounced recently. So yeah, that's not bad actually. Been riding up and down this for years thinking, oh, it's a bit it's the worst section, but actually, yeah, oh, they've done a good job. Yeah, that's nice. Because you used to have to weave left and right to try and avoid all these high curbstones. Yeah, they've done a good job. Didn't realise they'd resurfaced this section. Again, just making it a bit more, you know, user friendly. You know, they publicise the route, so it's good that they come and try and improve the trails, because some of them were not for everyone prior to this. Yeah, good job, council. Good job, Derbyshire County Council. So my computer's telling me this is minus 13% in places, minus 10 to minus 13. So this section here, you can see this is what it used to be like all the way down. You've just got to be careful. I'll show you some of these drop-offs. Oh, aren't the easiest things. The kind of things that can, you know, a confident rider can knock you off your path. So you just got to be mindful of that. So just at the bottom here, behind this gate, that little fence, on the old winding wheels that was used with the pulley from the engine at the top to pull the trains up that incline. You see the canal in the bottom there, just below or before the rugby goals. We're going down there in a bit. There's the old winding engine house for Sheep Pastures Incline. So that's where we're going next. I'll video it so you can see what it looks like. A lot longer than the last one, just as steep. Again, if you've got young kids, I'll let you make the choice. I'm just warning you. Surface is pretty good on this section, but it is steep, so if you're with someone who doesn't like descending, and this is probably not part of the route you want to be doing. Can't have your solution, because you've got to get down a big hillside either way. Like I always say to my wife, control the speed, you've got the brakes. So just down here on the left, there's a hut, and there was a set of intermediary like pulleys. Quite often the chains would come off that pulley. It was someone's job to come out and get them back on. Which I can't imagine was a pleasant job. I imagine some heavy tooling was needed to do it. Yeah, this little hut on the left there, look. That's what that was for. There's a little info board if you want to have a read up. So this is where the Cromford and High Peak Railway terminated. So these wagons are open at certain times of the year. And there's an old water tank that used to fill up the steam engines. So we're now running alongside the Cromford Canal, which there's still some of it in water, but it ends down at Ambergate, a few miles behind us, and ends at Cromford Mill, which is about a mile. So there's not much of it left. You can walk quite a bit. There's a lovely old cottage that's been restored recently, just a mile or so back the other way, and an Wolfside engine shed, because the railway used to run alongside for goods, and that's how they used to get goods from the canal up out to the high peak and vice versa. Thank you. So you've got the current main line down to our right, which goes down to Derby. Hiya. Ah, it's cool, isn't it? Yeah, it's a lovely, peaceful stretch. Again, it is for all users, but just be courteous and considerate. Fairly wide, it's always a good surface, even in winter, to be honest. Yeah, certain times of year this water's got a lovely colour to it. And it's quite blue in the middle, then where it shallows out, obviously it's, well, not as blue. Hiya. Yeah, it's a lovely section of canal, this. Turn the camera off because it's quite a busy stretch. So we're just coming into Cromford Mill, which is where the canal ends this way. Nice cafe. There is parking, so another place you could park up to do the loop or parts of it. Hiya. Yeah, nice cafe that. It's just on the left there where the umbrellas are. So this is the one of the sections where it ain't ideal with young kids. This is the A6. Now, there is a footpath there, but it is a footpath. However, I can't see many people being too upset with you and trying to keep your kids safe. So this road does get busy in summer, and there's a lot of traffic lights. Matlock Bath's busy, so the traffic tends to be very slow. So probably not going to be too bad at certain times of the year. I just thought I'd show you because you can see how busy the traffic is, and you do get big wagons coming through here, so just bear that in mind. So this is Matlock Bath. It's got a very seaside feel to it. About 10 fish and chip shops, sweet shops, ice cream shops, arcades. Where, as you can see, even on a weekday, it's popular with motorbikes. On a weekend and in the summer, this place is snided. You need to bear that in mind when you're working out what time you'll be coming through here roughly. It is busy. Okay, we've got just over 4 miles left. We've just got on the trail alongside the Peak Rail section of the old railway line that used to go from Derby through to Manchester, which is now the Monsal Trail further on, but obviously we can't ride all of it now. Hiya. So yeah, this is lovely. I mean, this just shows you that it is possible to have a line and cycling pedestrian trail alongside. But yeah, this is a beauty. So we're just heading towards Darley Dale The A6 is just to his right, and just so you know, it was about 4 miles through Matlock Bath and Matlock on fairly busy roads. Right, so there we go, that's the White Peak loop done. 42.3 miles. A couple of bits which I've already highlighted, so I'm not labour on them, but it is a fantastic route if you want to come and explore the Peak District and Derbyshire Dales. Tons of cafes, plenty of campsites, pubs galore, and it's lovely. So you could do it in a day, half a day really easy. Half a day if you were pushing, it took me 4 hours. But you know what? It's beautiful. It's a beautiful part of the country. If you've not been before, it's a good way to see it on 90% traffic free trails. So do come, do enjoy. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Rob, the channel's Bike Ventures. Please like, subscribe, share. Any comments, stick them down below. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for watching. And I'll see you on the next video. Thank you.